Alright, so here's the challenge. Can I build a viral game app, and can I do it in less than a week? So like I said, the challenge is going to be to try to create a viral game app in less than a week. And I of course want it to be available for both Android and iOS devices. And I've also never tried game development before, so this should be pretty interesting. So let's go day one. Alright, so first I need to define what viral will be in the context of this video. And the way that I will define viral is if the app gets 100,000 downloads within less than a month, then I would say that it's gone viral. Considering that currently my most downloaded app has just breached 500 downloads, I would say that 100,000 downloads is pretty viral. One of the first things that I had to figure out was what I was actually going to build. And the way that I built my idea was by referencing games that I'd played in the past and enjoyed, because I want to build something that I would actually play. I want to create something that's a mix between Flappy Bird and Snake vs. Block, so not at all a ripoff. It's going to be very different. I already have a name for the app, and it's going to be called Very Good Game, because, you know, of course. No, but the name is taken from the great Ron Swanson of Parks and Rec.
Hire Very Good Building Company for your construction needs, or do not. I am not a beggar.
So you can download it and give it a try. It's free, and there's a link in the description. So one of the first questions that I ran into was, how do I actually build a game app? And I didn't really know what to use for it. Should I use Unity? Should I use Flutter, Xcode, Android Studio? I really didn't know what to use. So that was one of the first questions that I had to answer. And I kind of had a hunch that Unity would be a good thing to use, but I didn't really know any of the downsides with using something like Unity. So I did some research and I found a couple things. Like I found a framework for Flutter called Flame that some people recommended using for building simple games. But what I figured kind of was that since Flutter is quite new and Flame would be an even newer thing, that means that it's probably not as well documented online. Like, people haven't ran into all the different edge cases, so it would be pretty likely that I'll run into some sort of edge case that no one has had time to run into yet, and that would then make it really tough to use something like that for me, since I'm very new to all of that. So I figured that Unity would be best, simply based on some online recommendations, and also based on the fact that with Unity you can build for both iOS and Android at the same time, which is super important to me because I don't want to have to do anything twice. And Unity is also probably going to be pretty well documented, so I decided to go with Unity. How to create a simple game in 2D. Alright, so there we go. We're going to have some sort of tutorial here that we're going to follow probably. And yeah, we're going to see how this goes. Okay, so now I think I've got this basic start to this game working. It's essentially just using like the Flappy Bird mechanics. I'm following this tutorial which teaches you to actually build Flappy Bird, which I'll leave a link to in the description in case you want to check it out. And that's kind of my idea so far, is to have that as the base principle for how the game should work. That's going to be the start of it, and I've just finished writing a little bit of code here. Okay, so let's try to play this and see if it has the same kind of feeling as Flappy Bird. Okay, so it sort of works. It doesn't really feel the same as how Flappy Bird kind of felt, but this we've gotten pretty far, so I'm pretty happy. But now I'm gonna take a break and go do something else. Okay, so now I've pretty much got Flappy Bird running, or I've recreated Flappy Bird, but like a shittier version of it. So if we run this, what we get is this. which is like procedurally generated obstacles. So they just come in one after another. And I've also added a bounce, so you can bounce off the ground if you want to. Yeah, I'm not great at it, but it essentially just keeps running. It just keeps creating more and more obstacles. I don't want it to be quite this black at the background. And I will also try just changing the colors of the obstacles here, so that they might be a couple different colors, and also adding in like a score thing so that you know how much you score each time you go through one, just to make this a little bit more fun. And then we're going to port it into Android and iOS so that we can actually publish this game. Alright, so now I'm pretty much done with the game, and so far this is the actual game that I've come up with. It's pretty much Flappy Bird, but a different version of it. It's fairly difficult. I can't really do it that well. I haven't tried it out on an actual device yet, so I don't know how that's going to go or how that's going to work. And that's essentially what's left. I need to create a start screen with some sort of high score that gets saved to the device. Then I need to just port that to both iOS and Android, and then I need to publish it. So the next step is going to be to try to save data on this in this game so that I can have a high score of some kind, and then to actually port it to iOS and Android. I figured I would just show you quickly an overview of how things work in Unity, things that kind of would have helped me save a little bit of time at the start, so hopefully that will be helpful for you as well. I just want to show you how to do something very simple in the game that will kind of show you the way that things work essentially. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a scene where a ball moves to the left, essentially. Super simple. I've created here just a 2D game in Unity, so when you open Unity, just create a 2D game and you'll get something like this. And what I've done is I've also gone on Google and I just searched for ball PNG, and I found this image of a ball. This is the ball that we're going to use to move across the screen. So now I'm just going to pull that into our project. Normally you would create some folders, like a folder called Sprite, where you add in all the different objects or the images like this that you would use. I'm not going to use that for this video because that just takes time for this thing. And then we're just going to take that here and we're going to pull it into our hierarchy here. So as you can see, that gets added to our scene. Then we're going to make it a size so that we can see it, like so. And now if we play the game, we have a ball in our scene. Now we want to do something to make that ball actually move. And the way that you do that is you press the ball here on the hierarchy, and then you get a list here to the right of different things that you can add. You can add a component. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a component called a script. And if you scroll down here, you can add a new script, and we can name that move left because we want the object to move left with this script. And then you create and add that, and it gets added here, as you can see. And now if we just press that, we open that up, that will now be attached to our object or connected to our object. So now what we want to do is we want to make the object actually move, and we can do that in the update method here. So we basically type in transform.translate, and then we use a vector3.left. This essentially says that the object should translate across the screen. I think translate is like a mathematical term for an object or something moving across an axis or something like that. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure exactly what it's for. Anyway, we want the object to translate across the screen, and this here decides which direction we want it to move. So we want it to move to the left, and then we multiply that by, I think it's time dot delta time. and then we multiply that by how fast we want it to move. So we're going to start with a speed of 2. I think this is correct. I've written it up, so it should be correct, but let's see if we run this now. Okay, there's no errors. If we run it, the object starts moving to the left. So that works. That's kind of how you make an object move. We can make it move faster if we just increase this number. Let's say that we increase it to 6, save it, and then we press play. And as you can see, it moves a little bit faster. So I hope this was kind of helpful to give, if you know nothing about how to build a game in Unity, you can kind of see an overview of the system for how this works, how you add objects and how you make them do things. So I hope this was somewhat helpful. Super quick. Hopefully you learned something from this video and didn't just see me do something without actually explaining how to do it. All right. Alright, so I've finally been able to actually get it onto my phone, as you can see. So we can now play the game. Oh. And it seems to be working the way that I want it to work. Maybe some bugs to fix, I don't know. But that's still really good because that means that it works on my phone, which is one of the big missions to actually get this to be able to be published. Alright, so I've now basically spent 2 full days trying to get this game ported to Flutter. The thing was, I basically had 2 options. I could port it to iOS separately and Android separately via Unity, but I'd never really done that before, so I didn't know how difficult that would be for me to do, or how long that would take, what kind of errors I would run into. And I also found this other article for how to port a Unity game to Flutter that seemed pretty simple. It was called a Flutter Unity widget, and it seemed really simple, seemed like it would work perfectly for me. And I've published apps via Flutter before, so I was kind of familiar with that, and I felt like if I could just get the game to Flutter, then I can publish it pretty simply. So now, 2 days later and like 20 hours of work later, I decided to scrap this like 5 minutes ago, and I basically just went on YouTube and I searched for porting Unity game to Android, and within like the first 2 or I think it was the second video in the result, that was like a 10-minute video that showed you how to do that. And I followed that video and it was super simple and it worked, and now I have the game running on my OnePlus 6. So it definitely wasn't worth spending 2 days and 20 hours trying to get this game ported to Flutter, and that just goes to show that I really need to do some more research before diving headfirst into things. And I also did the same thing. I searched for how to port the game to an iOS device or an iPhone, and it was just a simple 10-minute video, seemed to work just as well. So there you go. I need to really, that's a lesson for me, lesson learned, I guess. I need to spend more time researching these things. Anyway, now the app is, or the game is 100% done, so all I need to do tomorrow is just publish it. So hopefully that won't take too long and I'll be able to do it tomorrow. But now I'm gonna sleep. So today is the last day, and now I'm just hoping to get this app published. Alright, so right now I've basically just finished building it for my iOS device. So now I have the icon and everything like that on my phone. And I'm building it now also for Android. I've fixed all the icons and all that stuff. And now the last thing is basically just going to be to publish it to the Google Play and the App Store, or Apple App Store, and then we're done. And that usually is a little bit difficult because, especially with the Apple App Store, because last time I published an app back in like pretty much a year ago now, I remember like that being a super difficult struggle trying to get that to work. There were some bugs in my app, so that was kind of why it didn't work, or they didn't approve it, and that took like 2 weeks, I think. So now I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that Apple is gonna approve it. Usually Google Play is a little bit better with this, so they usually approve apps that aren't perfect. And but the Apple App Store is a little bit more strict. So yeah, hopefully they'll approve it pretty quickly, and then I'll be able to publish this video a week from now or 2 weeks from now, which is the goal. And the game is published both on the Google Play Store and also on the Apple App Store. So now I just have to wait for them to be approved, but hopefully it'll be approved by the time I'm releasing this video. So yeah, good work. Alright, so the app is now live on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So you can download it and give it a try if you want. It would also really help me out if you gave it a rating, because essentially if an app gets lots of ratings, it improves the chances of the app doing well. And that essentially improves my app's chances of reaching 100,000 downloads within less than a month, which is my goal. So I would really appreciate that, but you can do whatever you like. So I will be making a video where I go more into depth into the resources that I use to be able to build and publish this game. All the most useful articles, videos, and things that should help you really well with the entire process. So that is definitely coming up. And that's also kind of what I consider my job to be, or at least what I want my job to be, where I can try these experiments like this video where I try to build a game, and then based on that experiment, or at least during that experiment, I can gather resources like articles and videos, and then I can compile that into a second video where I go more into depth and I share the best tips and tricks that I found for that topic. So essentially first making an experiment video like this one where I kind of barely graze the surface of the topic, and then based on that video making a second video where I go more into depth and I share how to actually do that thing. So you can expect a lot more of that sort of stuff coming, so I hope you'll enjoy that. And that's pretty much it for this one. The app is available again in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Try it, you might like it. Anyway, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.
End of commercial.